With the epidemic under control, the government has announced a new round of eased restrictions. Starting this week, indoor venues like movie theaters will no longer be capped at 80 people.
Outdoor events will be allowed to host more than 300 people, although venues must only be at 50% capacity. Starting October 5th, measures will be relaxed further, with arcades and karaoke parlors allowed to reopen.
那首先跟大家报告今天确定的病例，本土的病例是没有
国内连续几天嘉陵指挥中心。
As Taiwan has reported several consecutive days without local COVID infections, the CCC is lifting COVID restrictions.
According to the new rules, eating and drinking are now allowed in the paid area of the TRA and HSR, but the ban will remain on the trains themselves.
另外，在游览车的部分
Coach buses can now operate at full capacity.
At arts performances, exhibitions, and sporting events, real name registration, mask mandates, and bans on food and drink will remain. However, there will no longer be a limit of 80 people at indoor events, and staggered seating will no longer be required. Outdoor events are no longer restricted to 300 people at most, but they will be limited to 50% capacity. In addition, some leisure and entertainment venues will be allowed to reopen from October 5th.
开放的这些基本上的类。
The kinds of businesses that will be allowed to reopen are basically gaming arcades, internet cafes, MTVs, karaoke parlors and booths, board game cafes, and mahjong clubs.
Face masks must stay on at all times during karaoke, be it in an individual booth or at a parlor. Meanwhile, patrons will have to sit spaced apart at MTV viewing rooms. No eating or drinking will be allowed. After use, karaoke rooms and private multimedia viewing rooms must be sanitized, and the room must be kept empty for at least 30 minutes between sessions. Venues must have good ventilation, and air flushing must be completed once every 2 hours. Facilities with karaoke machines, such as some borough community centers, must also abide by the rules.
确实可以去落实。
They must implement COVID measures, such as in KTVs. But if those in charge are unable to implement such measures, then the equipment should not be put out for use.
Board game cafes and mahjong clubs are also on the reopening list after being closed for months. At both kinds of venues, dividers will have to be up between players. When game pieces or elements are touched by several players, must disinfect their hands before and after the game. They must also wear gloves throughout. Game pieces must also be disinfected, with 15 minutes of downtime between each group of players. In addition, adult recreation venues, including dance halls, nightclubs, pubs, bars, and beauty parlors, must remain closed.